Hello Mitro, hope you are doing well, and here comes the another lesson in this summary of class 6th history NCERT series. And in this particular lesson I'm going to continue this discussion and I'm going to summarize the chapter number 8th of class 6th history NCERT. This lesson is presented by me Rahul. You can see me here, and before proceeding further I would like to inform you that those of you who have opted for public administration optional for UPSC CSE mains can enroll to my course on Unacademy platform. So on Unacademy I am covering this crash course on public administration optional for UPSC CSE mains. In that I will try my level best to cover the whole syllabus of public administration as far as this static portion is concerned. So you can enroll in the same course, and the link for the same is provided in the description box below this particular lesson. And apart from that, you can subscribe to my channel GS with Rahul, so that you can get the regular notification regarding my upcoming lessons. So let's get started without wasting much time. And in this particular lesson we are going to cover the chapter number 8th of this class 6th history NCERT. So the name of the chapter is Ashoka, the emperor who gave up war. So basically, before proceeding further, again there is another announcement that at the end of this particular lesson I will summarize all the 7 chapters that we have studied till now, so that you can get the summary of summary. So if you get the summary of summary, it would be in your mind for the longer period. So that's why I will summarize it. So let's get started. So here in this particular lesson, basically we are covering this period of this Ashoka's period. So you can say that we are covering this Ashoka's period. So after this Buddhism, Jainism, and after all these things, what happened that after these Mahajanpad, some kingdoms become quite bigger in size, and these kingdoms when become bigger in size, they would be known as empire. So this is the same heading that is given in the NCERT, that a very big kingdom is equal to an empire, because an empire is known as a very big kingdom. So here we have given this thing. So let's understand this thing. So Chandragupta Maurya. So you need to understand the Maurya dynasty, you need to understand the Mauryan empire. So basically we are going to take one part, or you can say that one means this big sort of the chapter is, we are going to study the Ashoka's, the emperor who gave up war. So this is one of the event that takes place, and that is associated with Ashoka. But here the name is given, basically we are going to study the Mauryan empire. So in Mauryan empire, as we know that from after this 321 BC, 321 BC, so you can remember it by 321. Okay, so after 321 BC, this Mauryan empire was established in India. So you need to remember this, and because of this thing, this chapter is given by the name of Ashoka. So this Mauryan empire was established by Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, so Chandragupta Maurya, he was supported by Chanakya or Kautilya. So Chandragupta Maurya was the grandfather of Ashoka. So basically Chandragupta Maurya was the founder of this Mauryan empire, and after Chandragupta Maurya, his son Bindusar become the ruler of this particular empire, or you can say become emperor. And after Bindusar, Ashoka took the power at the throne. So this is the chronology. You need to remember this, that Chandragupta Maurya followed by Bindusar, followed by Ashoka. And apart from that, this Chandragupta Maurya was associated, or you can say that he was supported by Chanakya or Kautilya. So Chanakya and Kautilya, you must be heard about this thing, that he was the same person. His name are two, one is official and another is unofficial. You can understand this thing, that Chanakya and or Kautilya, he was the same person, and he writes a book called Arthashastra. Okay, and apart from the Arthashastra, he was known for this Chanakya Niti, because his name is Chanakya, and he gave some rules of life, and this is known as Chanakya Niti. So Arthashastra and Chanakya Niti, so these books would provide the source of this Ashoka, this Mauryan empire. And apart from that, the cities that are associated with this Mauryan empire are Patliputra, Takshila and Ujjain. So Patliputra, Takshila and Ujjain are the important cities of this Mauryan empire. Patliputra is present day Patna, which is the which was the capital of this particular Mauryan empire. Apart from that, Takshila, so Takshila was the it is known as the gateway to the Central Asia and Northwest. So kindly go refer to the NCERT, and in NCERT you will find this map, and in that particular map you will notice that if this sort of place is India. I am unable to draw it here. So if suppose there is a India, then the northwest region means the region which ended toward this Pakistan. So in that sort of region, what happened that this Takshila was located, and it was considered as the gateway to Central Asia and Northwest. Okay, because this provide the entrance, or you can say that just like a gate, it provide the path so that we can reach to Central Asia. Central Asia consists of 5 countries, namely this Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, and all these Istan sort of country. There are 5 countries: Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan, or like this. And apart from that, northwest frontier provinces, you must have heard about this thing in the modern Indian history. So this was considered as the gateway. And apart from that, Ujjain. So Ujjain was situated on the north-south India route. So what happened that if suppose there is a India, then north south India, if you want to move from North India to South India, Ujjain was in the middle of this route, and that's why it is important. Takshila was important because it was again on the gateway. Ujjain was important because it was situated in this place, and Patliputra was the capital, so it is important. You can understand this thing. And because of all these things, what happened, you need to understand this thing, that in Patliputra there was a official emperor who took the throne, but at different places he just made different position of governor. So what happened that these people were taking the administration, they were controlling the administration in these places like Takshila, like Ujjain, like Patliputra. So they make different power center so as to cater the need of administration. You need to understand this thing. And apart from that, empire versus kingdom. So let's understand the difference between empire and kingdom. As we know that kingdom is small as compared to empire. When kingdom is quite larger, it is known as empire. So emperor need more resources, and apart from that, emperor have a large and big army. So emperor need more resources, means the taxes would be high, and apart from that, they have large and big army, they have large number of tax officials. So in emperor sort of thing, everything is large, and kingdom, when it becomes large, it becomes this emperor. Okay, so this is something like large quarter and the small quarter. And apart from that, ruling the empire. So ruling the empire means that I have already told you that Patliputra was the center of the power, because it was the capital of this Mauryan empire, and because of this thing, it was under the direct control, and officials were appointed for the collection of tax and for the punishment who are evading this tax. So if you are paying the tax, the tax would be paid to official, and if you are evading the tax, then there would be a punishment given by these officials only. And apart from that, other areas ruled by the provincial capital. So what happened that main areas are controlled by this direct control of Patliputra, means the capital. But what happened that there are provincial capitals. So the main capital is Patliputra, but there are different provincial capital like Takshila and Ujjain. So in these Takshila and Ujjain, what happened that royal princes sent as a governor. So if you remember some sort of extra history that is not given in this particular NCERT, that at the time of death of Bindusar, this Asoka was the governor of Ujjain, and his big brother was the governor of Takshila. Okay, so after the death of Bindusar, what happened that they start moving towards this Mauryan capital, means Patliputra. And if you consider this map of India, then what happened, the Patliputra is present day Patna, and Ujjain is in MP, and this Takshila is in present day this border of India Pakistan, or you can say that beyond the India in the Pakistan. So what happened if suppose they move at the same time. Okay, so means suppose Bindusar was died, and they get the news at 10 o'clock. Okay, suppose, let's say. So when they get the news and they start moving, so big brother start moving from Takshila and he start moving from Ujjain. So what happened, that as due to the distance they need to travel, Takshila was far wider, and you can say that the distance is more as compared to Ujjain. So that's why this small brother called Asok came first, and after the fight, after he killed many of his brother, and he become the ruler. You need to understand this thing. And apart from that, area between the centers. So what happened, that Patliputra is situated in present day Patna, okay, and the kingdom was so larger, so bigger in size, and that's why these provincial capital was considered as the power center, and area was determined, and because of this thing, the area between the center would be determined and administrated by these power center, these provincial capital, and it also lead to the transportation system and the collection of resources. So if there are different areas, the different collection of taxes and different transportation system would be provided. And there are some example that in Arthashastra what happened, that this thing is given, that this northwest India was famous for blanket, okay, because North India and Northwest India is famous for the winter in it. So that's why there was a famous, this is also famous for blanket. And South India is famous for what? Gold and precious stones. As you know that in this Karnataka we can extract the gold also. So all these things would provide the profit to the empire, and all these things would provide the tax collection to the emperor, and it would further lead to the for the development of the empire. And apart from that, there is the another source. So if someone asks you that how you know about this Mauryan empire, so there are two basic sources. One is Arthashastra and another is Megasthenes. Means Megasthene was a person, sorry, Megasthene was not a writing. Megasthenes was a person who write this book called Indica. Okay, so there was a book called Indica which is written by Megasthenes, and Megasthenes was the ambassador who was sent to the court of CZ Maurya, means Chandragupta Maurya, by the Greek ruler, okay, Seleucus Nicator. So there was a Greek ruler whose name is Seleucus Nicator of West India, and he came as the, and this Megasthene, he sent Megasthene as the ambassador in the court of Chandragupta Maurya. I hope it is clear to you. And because of the work undertaken by this Megasthene in India, he write this Indica, and from Indica we understand these things. Just like in from Arthashastra we taking this as a source, similarly as from Indica we come to understand about the administrative, political, economical and all sort of situation of Mauryan empire. And apart from that, Asok. So Asok, as the name of the chapter suggests, that Asok, a leader, a ruler who gave up war. So let's understand that how he gave up war. So Asok was the most famous Mauryan ruler. You must have, people have not heard about Chandragupta Maurya. People have not heard about this Bindusar, but people must have heard about Asok. Okay, so he was the most famous Mauryan ruler, and he was the first ruler who took the control over the greater region. And apart from that, he was also the first ruler who got his message inscribed in the inscription. So inscription is what, in the first chapter we have studied this thing, that inscription is the writing, or when you smeared something on the stone or harder surface, it is known as inscription. So inscription was first used by this ruler called Asok, and this inscription was in Prakrit language and in Brahmi script. So how this language was, how this script was created, this was in Prakrit script, means this was in Brahmi script. You need to understand this thing. Another script is Kharoshti, about which we will cover it in the class 12th NCERT. Okay, so as of now, just try to remember this thing, that Asoka inscribed his messages, got his message inscribed in these stones, in these inscriptions in the Prakrit language, in Brahmi script. You need to remember this thing, extremely important. And apart from that, what happened, that Asok was famous for this war of Kaling. So this war was fight in 261 BC. Kaling is basically the present day coastal Odisha. So ancient coastal Odisha means present day, if you know about Odisha, the ancient coastal Odisha region is was known as Kaling, and he fought war there in 261 BC. Okay, so what happened, he saw the violence and bloodshed in the particular region, and due to this the change of heart took place. Okay, so the change in the transformation of heart took place. हृदय परिवर्तन हो गया था, है ना, हिंदी में बोले तो हृदय परिवर्तन हो गया था, चेंज ऑफ हार्ट. ओके, एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट ओनली हार्ट, ऐसा मत समझना हार्ट चेंज होके स्पीड या और कुछ हो गया था, चेंज ऑफ हार्ट. ओके, ये वो वाला वो गड्डी वाला नहीं है. ओके, कोई खेलने ना लगना, पढ़ाई करो. ओके, ओनली किंग हु गेव अप कन्क्वेस्ट आफ्टर विनिंग द वॉर. ही वॉज द ओनली किंग हु गेव अप हिज कन्क्वेस्ट आफ्टर विनिंग द वॉर. Suppose you are going to fight a war, and after winning, is it possible that you give up conquest? No, most of the people will not do this thing, because it requires some sort of guts, which was present in the Asoka. And apart from that, Asoka's Dhamma. So what happened, that after Kaling war, and the change of heart took place. Okay, so because of this change of heart, Asok realized this thing, that these things are not good, these violence and all these things. Means you can understand that his heart was changed from the cruel person to a generous person. So he changed from this from the violent person to a non-violent person. And what happened, that he did you need to understand that he was also known as Chant Asok, because he was so cruel. But because of this Kaling incident, because of observation this thing, because of the observation of this thing, because of the contemplating this particular issue, what happened, he transformed himself. So after this, he make the Dhamma, Asoka's Dhamma. So first of all, Asoka's Dhamma and did not involve worship of God or sacrifice. It means did not involve worship of God or sacrifice. He was not in this favor of these things. Apart from that, he was inspired by Buddha. Okay, so he took this Buddha religion, and apart from that, he feel like father, that father who have a duty to teach the children. So he feel like he is the father, and he need to teach the children who are living in the empire. And apart from that, he appointed official. So how he spread his Dhamma? So Dhamma is a Prakrit word of Dharma. Okay, so Dhamma means this Dhamma. Okay, so Asoka's Dhamma, and he took two steps for the spread, for this sort of spread of this Dhamma. So appointment of official. So he appointed some officials, which was known as Dhamma Mahamatta. Extremely important, you need to remember that Dhamma Mahamatta was the official that was appointed by this Asok for spreading the message of this Asoka's Dhamma. Okay, and he went place to place. Means these people, this Asoka, this Dhamma Mahamatta, they went from place to place and teach the Dhamma of Asoka. So what was the work of Dhamma Mahamatta? They were the officials whose sole aim is to spread this message of Dhamma. And apart from that, he got his message inscribed in the rocks and pillars. So these are the two ways by which he was spreading his message in the entire empire. And apart from that, he spread his Dhamma idea in the regions like Syria, Egypt, Greece, and Sri Lanka. So you can imagine that how efficient he was in spreading his ideas. And apart from that, he built road, he dug wells, he built rest houses, he arranged medical treatment for human and animals. All these good things are done by him. And apart from that, post-Mauryan period. So after the end of Asoka, what happened, that this post-Mauryan period was started. And in this particular region, in this particular period, there are some sort of things are given in the NCERT. So northwest and North India was taken under control by these foreign rulers, foreign people called Indo-Greeks, and these Indo-Greeks were followed by Sakas, which were further followed by Kushanas. So Kushan, this started from Indo-Greeks, Sakas, and Kushan, and they have different regions that are given like northwest and North India. Sakas were of the people who are the tribes from Central Asia. So Central Asia consists of 5 countries, namely Kyrgyzstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and this Kazakhstan. Okay, so these are the 5 countries in Central Asia, and the tribe found in this particular region was Sakas, and these Saka rule this particular region include northwest, north, and west India after the Mauryas. These are the quite frequent period. You cannot get a proper chronology after this sort of thing, and apart from that, after Maurya we will get the chronology in the Gupta Empire. These are the things that are bifurcated here and there, and we do not have any chronology in these things. And apart from that, north and central India was under the control of Mauryan general. There was a general in Mauryan empire called Pushpamitra Sungha. Okay, so he established this Sungha dynasty. So Pushpamitra Sungha, or you can say that Pushpamitra Maurya, he established this Sungha dynasty in the region of north and central India. So this northwest and north India was under the control of these people, one after the another, these foreign rulers, and this north and central India was under the control of the general of this particular Mauryan empire, Pushpamitra Sungha, and he formed the Sungha dynasty, which was further changed by Kanwas in the people till Gupta. So this region was under the control of these Sungas and Kanwas, and West India was under the region of Satavahanas. Okay, so Satavahanas, the ruler like Rudra Daman was there. If I can recall this thing, I am unable to recall, but I think that this is correct, that the Satavahana ruler was Rudra Daman, who was declared himself like the Lord Shiva. And apart from that, in South India, you need to remember that Chola, Cheda, Pandya. So these are the most important kingdom in South India, Chola, Cheda, Pandya, from where we are getting the information regarding these things, like in the Tamil literature, in the Sangam literature. So why it is known as Sangam literature? Because in Tamil, what happened, that people are gathering in a particular place and they make the Sangam. So Sangam means in Hindi to get the collection. Okay, so for example, these things are there. So for example, what happened, that in this particular region, that in Allahabad is known as Sangam. Why it is known as Sangam? Because Ganga and Yamuna meet at that point. Similarly, this meeting of these officials led to this formation of these poems in Tamil literature, and these literature is literally known as Sangam literature. So I hope it is clear to you, and I hope it is clear to you. Thank you. And before wrapping up this particular session, the main thing is this, that I am going to summarize all these chapters in this particular NCERT. So up till now we have covered 8th chapter. Okay, so first chapter, if you remember and if you can recall, the first chapter was all about some random data. In that chapter, the name of the chapter was something like what, where, how, when sort of thing. So the random data was given in that particular chapter. In that chapter we have came across the things like the early agriculture was taking place in Garo Hills. We came across the things like this rice was first grown in the Vindhyan region. We came across the things like hunter gatherers were found in the region of Narmada Valley. The random data like the introduction sort of thing are given in that particular chapter. And apart from that, the sources of ancient history was given, that there are different sources like manuscript, inscriptions, and this archaeological evidences from which we can understand about the history, basically the ancient history. Because in ancient history, the textual data was not at that point of at that level to that extent, and that's why we need to rely upon these things like manuscript means something that is written on the bark of a tree, something that is written on the inscription. So inscription means the writing on the harder surface like rocks and all these things like on stones. And archaeological evidences like something that we dig from the earth, and all these things are given randomly in the first chapter. The second chapter is basically all about the Paleolithic age. So Paleolithic age, we need to understand this thing, that in that chapter we have given that people, how the earliest people live, and in the name of the chapter was how the earliest people live sort of thing. But the thing that is given in that particular chapter is the Paleolithic age, and Paleolithic age was the period from 2 million years ago to 10,000 BC. And in that period what happened, that there are some evidences that how people live, which were given in that particular chapter. And apart from that, some case studies was given in that particular chapter, like we find the as in the Karnool caves, which shows that fire was discovered at that time. For example, another things like there are some habitation come factory sites and habitation sites like Bhimbetka, which is known as the one of the important habitation site given in that particular chapter. And apart from that, the another thing that is given is the Hansgi. So Hansgi, Hunsgi, Hansgi is the Hansgi was the place which is known as habitation come factory site, and in that particular place we have found the evidences of limestone, and all these things are there in this particular chapter. And apart from that, the another chapter is the from gathering to growing food. So I am looking at this chapter, in the index is in front of my eyes. So in that chapter we have basically what we have studied, that how we change from hunter gatherers to domesticate animal, or to this farmer and this herding and rearing, how we start these things like farming, herding and rearing. So it was basically the period of this sort of thing called Neolithic site. So Neolithic, after Paleolithic there was some small period from 10,000 to 8,000 BC is of Mesolithic, and from 8,000 BC to 4,000 BC we can say it was the period of Neolithic sites. And in that particular chapter we have given that how the temperature was changing at that point of time. And apart from that, we have given the how people are started to do the domestication of animals, how people are doing this domestication of tamed dog, and all these things are given in that, how the people tamed the wild dog, sorry, and all these things are given in that particular chapter along with some case studies. So in case study we have seen the three important sites called Burja home in Jammu Kashmir, and apart from that Mehergarh in present day Pakistan. Mehergarh was the site which was located on near Bolan Pass, which is known as the which is the path to the present day Iran. And apart from that, there are some characteristics of that particular place, like burial site is there, and there are 3 layers of excavations, like 3 layers was find there in the excavation sort of thing. And apart from that, the houses were built like the four compartments. So if you can recall, it is really easy to remember all these things. And apart from that, in that particular chapter we have another site called Daujali Hading. So Daujali Hading is the another site which is near the this place called Brahmaputra Valley. And apart from that, the another chapter is the in the earliest cities. So in that particular chapter we have delineated the things like that of this particular Indus Valley civilization, Harappan site, and basically we have studied the some case studies with respect to the sites like Dholavira and this Lothal. Dholavira is famous for the things like the wooden inscription, the script of the particular time frame was written on the wooden things. And apart from that, Dholavira is also famous for the exception that the most of the sites were divided into 2 parts, namely the citadel and lower town. But Dholavira was an exception; it was divided into 3 parts. And apart from that, we have the site called Lothal. So basically Lothal is something where we find the dockyard of Lothal. So dockyard which is immense, which shows the technology of that time period, and it was located in present day Gujarat. You need to remember this thing. Basically I am summarizing all these things so that if you just listen these things, you would be able to correlate the chapters that are given in this NCERT, because if you go on the name of the particular chapter, you would not be understand that Paleolithic side is followed by Neolithic side is followed by, because if you consider the timeline, you study different things, but if you see the name of the chapter, you would be confused that what is given, all these things are randomly given. But no, only the first chapter accept this thing, that first chapter is given in random way, then after all the things are in a chronology along with some case study. So you need to focus on these things, because things are asked in the examination from here only. And apart from that, the another chapter after this earliest site was what books and burials tells us. So it was totally based on the period of Ved. So after this Indus Valley civilization, what happened, that Chalcolithic age was there, and after that what happened, that people are again came into existence in the era of Ganga Valley civilization. So Ganga Valley civilization, or you can say that the Vedic age. So Vedic age, the time period is from 1500 BC to 600 BC. Okay. So in that period we have different Veds like Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sam Ved, Atharva Ved, and in that particular chapter we are learned about this thing. There are some practices like Yajna Sor were given in that particular chapter, if you can recall. And apart from that, in that particular chapter we have studied about the different religious and Vedic periods, and we have given the things like IAS. This is not IAS that you are going to, most of you who are preparing for. IAS means Indra, Agni and Som. So Indra, Agni and Som was worshipped in the Vedic age. You need to remember these things, sir and ma'am. And apart from that, the another chapter talks about the things like this kingdom kings and early republic. So from after this Vedic age, from 1500 to 600 was the Vedic age, and after 600 BC what happened, that there are three main important things. Means in that period at 600 BC, you need to remember that Janpad and Mahajanpad become more powerful, and the power of kings and all these things, the formation of kingdom was started at that point of time. Tax was started on the people on that point of time when Mahajanpad started to begin. And we have studied all these Janpad. There are only three Janpad given in that particular chapter, namely Atranji Kheda and Eta. Atranji Kheda and Hastinapur in Uttar Pradesh, and different places like this Purana Kila in Delhi are the some of the Janpad that are given in that particular chapter. And basically we have studied the Ashwamedh practice in that particular chapter, and we have covered the different Mahajanpad like Magad and Vaji. We have delineated this thing, that how this Magad was important in the course of history. Why Magad was important? Magad was important because it is situated in the region of Ganga and Son river, and because of these things cater the needs of the Magad, because these things will do that in that particular region. What happened, that fertility of the land increases, and apart from the fertility of the land, they would provide the means of communication, because people can move from one place to another by using these rivers. So it again cater the needs of the Magad as a big and most powerful kingdom. And apart from that, there are large number of forests. The region is surrounded by large number of forests which provide this all the materials like wood and all other things that are used for earning the livelihood. And apart from that, large number of elephants in these forests were found, which would further help the Magad empire to become the great kingdom, because elephant may be used for this war and all these things for the power purpose. And apart from that, the another advantage that the Magad have is the situation located near the region which is highly immense in the in that particular iron ore, because in the, if you consider the Magad, it was situated in the present day region of Chota Nagpur plateau. So Chota Nagpur plateau was comes under the Magad in that period of time, and iron ore was there. As you know that Chota Nagpur plateau was known for the iron ore, so iron ore was there. And due to this thing, sir and ma'am, सोना नहीं भाई, कोई सो मत जाना यार, सुनो ध्यान से, कोई वैसे ही एक दो लोग सुन रहे होगे, कम लोग सुनते हो पता है, सुन लो. ओके, सो आफ्टर दैट व्हाट हैपेंड, दैट Magad, how Magad is important, because Magad is important. Another reason was this thing that in the Magad, this Chota Nagpur plateau provide the immense iron, and iron is further used for the making of tools and weapons. जल्दी बस होने वाला है, ठीक है. जो सुन रहे हो पक्का कुछ समझ में आ रहा होगा, तभी सुन रहे हो. थैंक यू फॉर listening me. Okay, and apart from that, वैसा वाला thank you नहीं, वैसा वाला thank you. And apart from that, after kingdoms, kings and early republic, what happened? New questions and ideas. Okay, so this is the another chapter in which we are covering the same period of 600 BC. Okay, so in the previous lesson we have understand the things like these things, like in the previous lesson what we have studied about the things that are related to this period, and about the rulers, about the kingdoms, that Magad was there, Waji was there, and kingdoms was there. But in the next chapter, in the very next chapter, in the 7th chapter, there are ideas like in the same period, in this Mahajanpad period, in the 600 BC. If you remember the history, what happened, that Buddhism, Jainism and Upanishad, these all these three things was compiled at that time. Buddhism and Jainism was spreaded at that time. We have covered these things. And apart from that, at the same point of time, if you remember that Upanishad was also created, that we have covered in the previous lesson. And after that, what happened, that we are moving into the Mauryan Empire from 321 BC to and this 232 BC sort of thing. So we are covering these things here in this chapter, and in the next lesson we will cover the Gupta Empire, and then we will cover some more random chapters so that we can understand these things. And I hope all these things are clear to you. Thank you for listening all these things. I hope you can get the proper correlation between the topics, and I hope it is helpful for you. It is quite boring, history is boring, but if you are preparing for UPSC, or if you are preparing for any government examination, you need to tolerate these burden, and you need to understand, and you need to study hard. So study hard, stay tuned and keep learning. Thank you.